Yeah, can you give us any injury updates?
Wait on the injury report for that.
What do you like about Jacoby Myers, Liam, and how can he help your offense?
Yeah, I think have followed his career pretty closely, being in the Northeast myself, the Patriots, watching those guys over the years. And then obviously moving into a couple different roles, former quarterback, always appreciate that, really in any skilled player. But the ability, tough, strong hands, has been physical as a separator in ISO situations. I've only heard great things about the pro. Edgar's worked with him in the past as well. So, definitely excited to have him.
What's the challenge of giving him a set of plays he feels comfortable with for Sunday?
Yeah, that's the exact is the challenge, is the balance of, how much he can handle, how quickly can he get some of the formations down, the timing, obviously, at practice, and some of the, just throwing on air with Trev and getting some getting some reps that way. But it'll really come down to all right, what are the things specific that, you want to get him in the flow of the game, you want to get him opportunities, but also just to go play as a Jaguar. Not necessarily every time he's in, it's something that he has to go and do. You just want to make sure there's a balance there. So that'll be a process throughout this week and through each part of the plan. Okay, normal D&D, third downs, red zone. How much in those areas can you give them? And that's the balance for sure.
How much was this move precipitated by the placing Travis on IR?
Yeah.
Potentially some other injuries to
That's
that
right.
room?
Yeah, depth, right? Just for sure numbers alone, we were looking like we could have been a little thin there coming up. So really proud of those guys that stepped up the other night. They're going to continue, to contribute and play and help us go win football games. So a lot of it had to do with, where we were at from an availability standpoint coming out of that game.
So this is those two guys, or in particular Trammell and Jones, knowing that they really hadn't played all that many reps.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it a little bit with you on the Zoom on Monday, but I'm just curious, were your eyes open to anything in terms of maybe the game plan when they were on the field, of just not trying to scheme someone open, just getting them open, that maybe will translate moving forward to the whole playbook?
I think so. I mean, that's something that you definitely felt you had to simplify and wanted to make sure that maybe we just didn't motion too much or, call any, it was a lot of some day one stuff, but there was also a few game plan plays that those guys went out and executed at a high level. So, when you can just go line up, call it, not think about anything, sometimes it does simplify things for you. And especially as a player, when you're asked to step up in a moment and you're not thinking about too much. You're not thinking about all the plays in the game plan. You're just thinking about the moment and going and executing that moment. So I think that's something we can definitely build off of.
Does it help to make a deal like this when Coach Bennett already had a relationship with the guy?
Yeah, that is extremely helpful. Just knowing the person first and foremost a little bit more from EB, and just the professional, right? Knowing what you're getting from the preparation standpoint, the practice habits, and then obviously the player.
Will that be helpful getting him up to speed quicker too, since everyone might know some of the terminology that he's working on?
It's different. Yeah, it's different. So it's very different from what he's kind of done in his last few systems. So I think maybe just the relationship of EB, maybe knowing how he learns, can help us get onboarded a little faster.
Where do you start? Inside, outside, in your offense, is it easier to pick up plays inside, outside?
It's really the Z and the X maybe have the easiest time, as the X typically goes away from the call, Z goes to the call. It's the F in our offense that is the adjuster, and he has to move a lot more than other guys. So you can kind of like if you're the Z and you go, the call is right, you're going to go to the right. So it does help a little bit. If you're the X and the call is right, well, you're going away from the call. The F is the guy that needs to do more of the adjusting, and that's where Parker will be playing.
When you face a team for the second time as a play caller, do you have to go back and look at that a lot, or is it still in your mind, okay, these are the things that work, these are the things we shouldn't bother with?
Yeah, they came out in the first game against us and played a defensive structure that they hadn't played in normal down and distance really in like the previous 2 seasons. That was something that they had done situationally for sure. Short yardage, 4-minute, low red zone, but not as much in normal D&D. So that was something we weren't really expecting that kind of affected the run game, especially in the first half. We've got to look, all right, now they know that we, know that they did that. So it's like, okay, how much are they, but it worked for them too. So that's the cat and mouse game that you're trying to look into. How have they maybe tweaked some things over the last few weeks, but the structure is the structure, and the players, that's the most important thing I think about this defense and us attacking is guys like it's a damn good defense, and they don't stay blocked long. And for us to go and be successful, the plays are the plays, and we have got to go finish at the second level, stay attached to blocks, run through contact, block our asses off on the perimeter. That's what's gonna have to that's how it's gonna have to be, man.
Does what ETN has done continue to kind of exceed maybe what you had expectation-wise for him?
I've always really, thought he was a talented player, but the physicality, I think, is maybe something that I'm not saying I didn't see it before. I've seen it. I just think it's impressive in person when you see a guy like on the 4th and 2 speed option be met by the safety at the line to gain and just shoulder down, kept going forward. He falls forward a lot more. I think there was a few he kind of stumbled on in the game a little or got tripped up. He wanted to stay on his feet and get some more, but he falls forward a lot more for, I guess you could say more what people have maybe in the past called him a scat back or, a back that's more in the pass game or outside on the perimeter. I think he's run between the tackles pretty well for us this year.
Travis sort of gave credit to Chad Moore for that physicality. Just what have you seen from that running back room and how they've sort of taken on that personality?
Yeah, I've said that in the past. Chad's one of the best football coaches I've ever been around. He is the energy, it's infectious, the personality, the mindset, the standards in that room on a day-to-day basis, on an hourly basis. But the connection that he's gotten with those guys, the relationship, but like the fundamentals and details of his drills, of his why and the things behind what we're asking his players to do, I think are at an elite level. And you can definitely see improvement out of that room from all 3 of these backs really since they got here. And that's a testament and a credit to those guys for listening, but also going out and executing it and doing it and having the mindset to go do it.
What's the challenge of potentially preparing to play backup quarterback who doesn't have a lot of regular season tape in recent years?
I've got, watching David Mills throw the football for a while, Davis Mills, sorry. I remember him coming out of Stanford. Like, he can spin the ball. He's a talent. He can throw the football. I've watched him in preseason games before where he's, started games and their offense, was rolling. And so, he gave Nico, I think on his second throw of the game, a fade on on the right sideline that was right here. So it's talented. So from a game plan, I know, they've done a little bit more jumbo and, being able to run the football with Woody and doing a nice job that way. So expect a similar plan in ways. It's more so maybe the mobility from CJ that he can provide at times, extending plays on the boot game, getting him out on the perimeter, and maybe being able to use his legs as a weapon as well.
The defensive side of things, how much do you look at last week and just say Brock Bowers is an anomaly versus then looking at the Rams game where it felt like Sean was very intentional in running more 12 and 13 personnel versus saying maybe this is an area that teams are trying to exploit?
Yeah, I think if you looked at maybe our 13 personnel base defense menu of plays going into LA, who's a predominantly 11 personnel team, it was a small menu. So you get in the game and you're getting a ton of 13. And you're like, well, right now we prepared for 2 calls. We've got to adjust. We've got to add. And now you're starting to put things on the players that maybe we weren't ready for or something like that. That could happen. we talked about, like, you look at how Houston, they love their wideouts. I mean, they like those guys. They like to play in 11. They got young, good players in Kirk and obviously Nico. So, but they've also done some more 21, 12 jumbo, 13. Dalton Schultz is a really good player. So these are things that we definitely need to be prepared for, getting the tight end the ball in space, especially on some of those things. So Brock is a creature. He's a stud. But we can do better and be better in the back end and at the second level as well.
Liam, on third down offense, 9 conversions the other day. Where is sort of your line as a play caller where 3rd and 5, you can still run it? Is that, or 3rd and 6? And sort of how many options did that give you on Sunday?
It's typically a little bit dependent on their windows. Each week, your third down windows can change maybe by a yard or so based on how they change and how they call it. So it's more so just finding, okay, up to what window can you feel comfortable about maybe getting some runs off based on what are some of the front structures and blitzes that you're seeing. So, I've always enjoyed being able to do that and mix it up as well on some of those. But it's more so based on their windows.
What kind of advantage can you get from the quarterback design runs that you guys have been able to deploy?
Yeah, I mean, big athletic dude that can run, get him in space a little bit, get him running and trying to get the ball on the perimeter maybe in some different ways, right? Is you can toss it out there, you can hand it off out there, right? You can throw a screen out there. It's just another way of kind of attacking the edge and maybe slowing down their edge players and defensive ends at times when it's like, okay, I'm getting cracked, I'm getting kicked out, I'm getting bluffed, I'm getting read. Like, those are the things, obviously, you're trying to, especially when you're playing really good ends, to give those guys some different things.
You said you appreciate Myers being a former quarterback. What's the best thing about that for you?
I think it's just football feel, just understanding space, angles, leverage, timing, right? Like timing of concepts, where you fit in the concept and knowing, okay, am I on the primary? Am I not? What is my job? Just without maybe having to always overcoach it. Sometimes I think that helps from a quarterback's perspective, playing the position. And then maybe I would say just ball skills in general. A lot of quarterbacks have, you're catching the ball, you're dealing with the ball a lot, right? And so a lot of quarterbacks typically have good ball skills, and that's something that showed up on tape for him as well.
The last month or so, has it felt like, with game scripts being down multiple touchdowns or multiple scores, that's negatively impacted the pass rush? And maybe with a better game script, they could have a chance to impact the game more?
Yeah, I mean, the flat-out bottom line is we got to go affect the quarterback better. And whether that's with scheme or with people, we've got to affect. Now, look, I'll say this. We did, out of all the attempts the other day, I think there was like 88%. So I don't know what crazy percentage of the time the ball was coming out at about 2 point something. They were running a ton of quick option routes, zone coverage, just kind of picking ding, 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 ding. So it does become hard to ultimately get to the quarterback when it's like almost quick game, but it's not. It's that in-between of drop-back pass that I think Vegas did a pretty good job of attacking us that way. And some of those instances are also some more opportunities to also get some of these. Like when it's in between quicks and drop back, if we can't get home, all right, how can we affect the pocket or affect the play by getting our hands up like we obviously did on the 2-point play to end the game? But we've got to affect the quarterback better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liam.
Thank you, guys.